All right. Special features, just come along and have a chat with me, some tea, and maybe we might have a little fun. Special features, just talking about the movies and then something that might strike a chord with everyone. Strike a chord with everyone. Special features. Yeah.
All right, kids and biddles. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Special Features Podcast, or Episode 15 of our continuous, never-ending season, which will continue until one of us dies. I am your host, Maximilian Greatshell. This is my father, my esteemed co-host, Walter Greatshell. You might notice that I'm making some unusual mouth sounds. That's because I've chosen this episode of the podcast to snack on some smoked Gouda.
And her whole body's in frame?
Smoked Gouda. And a little sausage, a little spicy sausage.
Is that
Nice.
Because
perfect?
I'm starving. And we're recording podcasts back to back here. Never stops for your entertainment.
That's right. We do it
So
for
you should be very thankful that I'm willing to put so much of my life on hold for your pleasure.
This is very ASMR.
5 whole minutes.
As
Oh,
I'm-
yeah, with the eating.
I'm having a delicious LaCroix soda water, grapefruit soda.
This Edam cheese is very creamy. Very creamy and deep in flavor. And the little sausage, I can taste the bits of granular pork inside, almost like little grains of meaty sand.
Whoa.
And then I got my,
Whoa.
I have an Oyocha tea here, if that's how that's pronounced. I hope it doesn't sound racist. It's a green tea. I think it's from Japan. It has very nice notes of green bean without too much bitterness. It tastes kind of green beany, but I like that in my green tea. It's maybe not it's good for what it is. But yeah, let me just eat some cheese for your listening. But
Listen to that. Look at that.
I feel like I look like a goat.
Yeah.
Get a close up on these lips. I'm sorry, that seems maybe kind of perverse.
Well, in one of the previous podcasts, we opened with me eating from a bag of vegetable chips. And I felt like I looked like I was some kind of a cow masticating some hay.
You're a cow and I'm a goat.
Yes.
But what are our signs on the Chinese calendar?
Mine is the tiger. Or at least it used
I
to
forgot.
be.
I think mine is the ram, but I think they changed it.
Yeah, they changed it.
Because I
That's the
used to be
problem.
Gemini and then that changed.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that aren't willing to accept those new astrological signs.
I personally refuse to accept them.
I know.
I will always be the
I
tiger.
am always a Gemini. No, obviously, to me they're meaningless.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily to say to anybody out there that's into astrology or different kinds of calendars that it's not worth your time. Different people have different hobbies.
Of course, absolutely.
Am I too accepting of everyone in this
you
podcast?
Are. You're just wishy-washy. You got to stand up for things.
Yeah, maybe we should be. Maybe if we're more aggressive, like Joe Rogan or something. Is Joe Rogan aggressive on a podcast? I've literally never listened to the Joe Rogan podcast.
I've never seen him. So I mean, all I know is that he, it's not.
Maybe if we're more Rush Limbaugh-esque.
See, that's the thing, because then you find the audience that thinks the way you do. So everyone,
Wow.
If they want to be that way, they flock to you.
I just want everybody to love everybody.
Exactly.
But maybe
See?
maybe I'm a hippie for that.
But that makes us, if you're a nice person, I think it automatically relegates you to some kind of a despised minority. But
It's
that's
so
all right.
sad.
I mean,
her whole body's
look what
in frame?
happens to people who are nice in history. They always end up dead.
Okay. Well, if we want to be a little more partisan,
Is that perfect?
I personally think that astrology is nonsense.
Yeah.
However, I know I'm close friends with some people who follow astrology from a more scientific perspective, which is to say
5 whole minutes.
follow what global events have been happening historically under like when there were certain signs present versus others,
Okay.
and try to see if there's like patterns in that, you know.
Yeah.
So to some extent that's more like scientific and research based than like somebody who just like believes that like, oh, you know, Uranus is in retrograde or whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, if you're looking at things the way that like an almanac does, and you say, for the past 100 years, this has been happening at this time of year, then there's a certain logic to that.
Yeah.
You know?
Either way, there's a lot of people that believe in astrology, so I don't want to alienate them. That's why I was
of
trying to be
course.
more partisan.
I think it's,
So here's the thing. Let me put it this way. If you believe in astrology, I'm not going to judge you based on just that, and I'm not going to disrespect you as a person just because of that.
Good.
I'm more than happy to be, if we get along, to be like friends with a person who believes in astrology. I just personally am not interested in it.
yeah, absolutely. But that applies to so many things. I mean, I'm not into
Yeah, like racism. I will be such close friends.
Yeah, but no.
No, I'm kidding.
Of course. No, I was going to say, like pro sports. I'm not into pro sports, but I don't, obviously I've been friends with people who are into sports. It's fine.
Yeah, of course.
What's it got to do with anything?
That's kind of why I made that joke, because I feel like right now in our current political climate and with all like the, the hatred and the bigotry, people try to equate that stuff with like stuff we're talking about, like
Right.
sports and astrology. It's like, well, why can't we be friends just because I don't like black people? And it's like, that's not the same
It's not
thing.
the same,
That's
right.
not like it's not like, oh, I like football. That's
Right.
like you want to oppress people. That's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
It's different to be somebody who's interested in hate.
Right.
If you're interested in hate, that's not an interest I can abide in my life.
Right. Well, especially since, obviously, you and I have both been friends with black people, and it's like,
Well, all different kinds of people.
yeah, all different kinds of people. And if we were to have to be friends with somebody who despised some subset of the people we like, then we're putting ourselves at odds with that person.
Of course, and we're like basically just discrediting everybody we care about,
Yeah.
like, or just people in general.
Exactly.
But like, no, exactly, and I hate it when people do that. When people equate like their terrible, like almost evil ideologies with like just some kind of like hobby. Mm-hmm. Oh. It's like all the people who voted for Trump being like, why can't we be friends just because we have different political opinions? Mm-hmm. It's like, no, it's not different political. Like, you voted for a terrorist that wants to destroy the country.
Right.
Like, and who is actively being supported by the richest billionaires in the country who are also evil. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like, it's like, I thought we could still be friends.
Right.
Even though I support the people that want to take away everything that everyone you love needs to survive,
Right.
and want to basically don't care if you live or die or anyone you love lives or dies.
Yeah.
I want to support those people and who actively want to take everything, steal everything from the country, and like,
Yeah.
like how you can't. That's not like liking football.
Right. No, I know.
Anyway, sorry, too political, but so I guess now everybody knows our political beliefs pretty
Given
aggressively.
us away. You've
As
smoked
if,
us out.
I'm not. I do worry though, because sometimes people don't get stuff until it's laid out for them.
Yeah.
So maybe like there were some people who were watching us the whole time who were like, well, these seem like two lovely white men.
That's right.
They must have all the same opinions as me. Oh my God, what are they saying about Trump? And black people? What? Now they won't subscribe.
I
But
know.
quite frankly, I'm not sure I want those people to subscribe.
Yeah, see, that's the whole thing. It's easier if you don't have to deal with, that.
That's what scares me about like being a comedian. Because I remember I went to a Shane Gillis show, and like the feeling in that show, like all of his fans in that show were like these white frat bro guys who like all seemed kind of like these drunk, like radicalized lunatics, and I'm not saying they all were, but it was like, I don't know, like you can't control who you get as a following. And if you're like, kind of, you seem like a small town kind of like, white guy with a beard, you might attract some distasteful people.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. But I think you just have to be
That being
yourself.
said, that was one of the best comedy shows in my life. Shane Gillis is hilarious.
Oh, well, that's awesome. And hopefully he's...
Yeah, I can't speak to his fan base, but he is very funny.
Yeah, well, that's good.
Obviously, I also can't speak to his opinions or politics. He hasn't said anything insanely inflammatory that I've found, but I don't know. If there's somebody out there that wants to tell me that Shane Gillis is a monster for some reason, go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me in the comments. We could use some comments on these friggin' videos and podcasts.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to come out and be like, Shane Gillis was recently in a court case because he stabbed his girlfriend or something, or Shane Gillis recently said that he doesn't like Muslims or something, tell me so that I know that maybe he's not somebody I should be that interested in.
Yeah. It's tough though, because in some cases, I don't know, the way things are now, I'm already feeling so, estranged from the mainstream, because maybe I shouldn't say the mainstream, but I feel like the country has kind of gotten away from what I would consider to be sanity.
Yeah.
And
but I've always felt that way.
Well, I've always felt that way too, but I don't think that. I think it's just gotten worse. You know what I mean? I think it's in the worst place it's been in our lifetimes. Obviously, I was very unhappy when.
Hold on, I like that sound of the plate tracking across it.
Yeah, that was.
We could do a little hip hop beat on that.
Yeah. You got to sample that. Anyway, so that's that's sort of where we're at on this whole issue, and now that we've cleared the air, and we are,
I like dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs are awesome.
Dinosaurs are awesome.
Yeah.
Did you saw that article I sent you about the company saying they brought the dire wolf back from extinction?
Yeah, that was interesting to me because some years back we actually took you to the La Brea Tar Pits. And in the La Brea Tar Pit Museum, there's a wall that has like 100 dire wolf skulls on it that were taken out of the tar pit. So at one time, those wolves were incredibly, obviously common in California at least. And I don't know what made, I was actually talking to your mother about this morning. Like, what is it that made or was I talking to you? But I was saying.
What is it that made them dire?
Yeah. What made them extinct?
Well.
I don't quite understand why they went extinct.
They just really didn't like sarcasm. I don't know. I think what bothered me about I really don't know what made dire wolves go extinct. I'm sure there's a lot of information about it online. But I
actually had a theory. Let me just insert this that the dire wolves, the reason there were so many of them found in the tar pit was because they probably were scavengers, and they mainly hunted the large animals that got stuck in the tar pit, and they'd eat the dead carcasses of these animals that were stuck in the tar, and that once those animals had been wiped out by people, by the encroachment of humans, they lost their prey. The wolves lost their prey, and so they essentially died out for that reason. I don't know. That's
as good a guess as anybody.
Yeah. Because in that time there was mastodons and mammoths, and there was giant ground sloths.
I'm sure it had something to do with human invasiveness in some regard.
Yeah.
But everything that lives on this planet affects everything else to some extent. And obviously there's species we've single-handedly wiped out, but there's also situations, where things just happen.
Right.
I know for a long time we didn't know about the whole asteroid theory with the dinosaurs and stuff. There's constant fluctuations in the understanding of Earth's history.
Sure.
I just realized, though, putting my Invisalign back in, I missed an opportunity to do some more on-the-spot ASMR. Going you like that? You like that, you saucy little minx? But yeah, the dire wolf thing, I was very excited about it when I saw that article in Time Magazine.
It's interesting.
But it also taught me that not taught me, but just reaffirmed to me that you can never really trust the news cycle anymore, because everything is about what's the most eye-catching headline.
Right.
And the fact is, they did not bring the dire wolf back from extinction. They basically genetically altered some kind of wolf to give it some more traits of a dire wolf.
Right.
They didn't actively create another direwolf.
Well, here's the thing.
It's not. Let me put it this way: if there were a direwolf still alive, and you compared the DNA of that to the DNA of what they've made, it would not be identical.
So did they have direwolf identity that they were able to recover from specimens?
I haven't read that deeply into it yet.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. I do want to read more about it. I haven't had a chance yet. I basically just got home from work and I saw this today. So, I haven't had a chance to read about it yet. My assumption, I'm hoping that what they did is that they had, genetic information about the direwolves and they used that to edit the DNA of some existing species of wolf.
Well,
but I feel like what they probably did, and I hope this is not the case because this is so lame, but I feel like what they might have done is they knew what some of the characteristics were of the direwolves, the physical characteristics, and all they did was alter wolf DNA in enough of a way to make those physical characteristics more like the direwolf.
Right, and I agree that would be lame. But I do think that the direwolves existed recently enough that with the bones that they have, there was probably DNA.
Like a complete sequence?
Yeah, in the bones. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I know this company's been working to resurrect the mammoth for ages and ages and ages.
Yeah.
But they've never been able to get a complete DNA sequence because most, if not all, mammoth DNA is so damaged from being frozen or being preserved for so long. It's impossible to construct a complete sequence of their DNA.
Right. And
Which
you
is
would think,
something would be necessary in order to breed a new mammoth.
Yeah, and if that's true of something as big as a mammoth, which we know there's frozen carcass of those.
Yeah, with damaged DNA.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if they can't get a decent DNA sequence out of a mammoth, I don't know how they'd get one out of something much smaller like a direwolf.
Like a direwolf?
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Direwolves, you just said they're more recently extinct.
Well, not more. Well, recently extinct compared to a dinosaur, but not. They went extinct about the same
So
time as
they're
the mammoth.
equivalent to a mammoth?
I would say so.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know how much DNA they have left over from a direwolf.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying. The thing is, reconstructing DNA sequences from extinct animals when you don't have a lot of information to work off of, because obviously DNA, cells, things degrade over time.
Right.
So it's really challenging work. I feel like they're trying to do their best to create things that will be the beginnings of bigger things and maintain their funding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what their funding situation looks like. I don't know what the company does exactly. Or I'm sure they do a lot of things. I'm sure it could be that these projects are basically intended for these are more of their lofty projects that they use as their as the banners for their campaign.
Big fundraisers.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas they're actually doing a lot more stuff that they can implement in real time in the background.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of cool things we can do that nobody ever talks about. It's one thing to resurrect the direwolf and the woolly mammoth. Those would be incredible strides in technology. But are we forgetting the fact that we can frickin' clone dogs and stuff? We can clone things.
Yeah.
We can clone things and grow them. I mean, we have to grow them from babies, but we can clone them.
Yeah.
If your dog dies and you want to go out there and pay to have a clone of your dog bred, you can do that. And you will get genetically an identical dog back. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or all the experimentation that's being done with artificial wombs or tissue printing. Or all the stuff with the tiny brains that I told you about, where they're growing the tiny
Little
brains
computer
using neurological tissue, neurological cells, and to do different functions and tasks.
Right.
I mean, there's so many interesting things happening technologically that nobody ever talks about. And then of course something like this comes out that's barely a story, and everybody's like, oh my god, they made a wolf that kind of looks like a direwolf.
Uh-huh.
It's almost goofy if you think about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's probably more science behind it than I'm giving it credit for. I need to read about it more.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, talking about the La Brea tar pits.
Talk about my ex-wife. The La Brea tar pits. All right, I'm just kidding. I don't have an ex-wife. Well, not someone I was legally married to.
You have an ex-girlfriend of long duration.
Somebody I was with for 10 years.
Yeah. Anyway, I was reminded of the La Brea tar pits because a couple weeks ago I noticed that there's a movie that's streaming now on one of the services called Miracle Mile. You ever seen this movie, Miracle Mile?
No.
Well, the Miracle Mile in L.A. is where the La Brea Tar Pits are.
Okay.
And basically...
Jimmy, can we pull up the Miracle Mile? No, sorry. I'm just continue.
Anyway, this movie stars Anthony Edwards as this business guy who's like, after work, he goes to this late night diner on the Miracle Mile in LA to have dinner or something like that. And while he's
Late
there,
night diners are some of my favorite settings for stories.
yeah, and I remember I really loved this movie when I saw it for the first time about 20 years ago. And I watched it again recently, and I didn't like it quite as much, but it's still an interesting movie. Basically, this character played by Anthony Edwards hears the payphone outside ringing, and he goes and he answers the payphone, and it turns out to be somebody from the government talking to somebody they think they know, saying that there's about to be a nuclear war.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. I just realized I'm not sure I started the camera playing.
Uh-oh. Better turn the camera on.
If we recorded a bunch of this without footage, I'm going to be pissed.
Well, we might have.
Yep, I didn't start recording.
Oh, sorry. We have to look for that red light.
Oof. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
That's all right.
Well, I told the listeners they wouldn't get another no footage podcast, but I guess we're getting another. So for those of you that are listening in, I apologize. I just realized I didn't start the This is why it pays to have like employees that can do this for you.
Yes.
But like I didn't start recording the camera until 20 minutes into this podcast. So the first 20 minutes, I don't know. I'll take some cute footage of the cat or the dogs and the cat. I'll splice together some charming footage that you guys will get to watch until we pop onto the screen.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Friggin' 20 minutes into the podcast. I'm glad I realized now.
Yeah.
Because like we could have gotten
Could've
like
been much
way
worse.
deeper into this. At least you'll get 40 minutes of our beautiful faces. And isn't that what it's all about?
Well, you know what you'll have to do?
That makes me so sad. Now, because now I can't do the mouth stuff with I was chewing like this. Like a goat. Wow.
Give it up. You'll never recapture the moment.
The magic
The
is
magic.
lost.
Yes, but see, what's good about this is you can now include clips of everything we're talking about during that beginning part. You know what I mean?
I do for some stuff, but I've been trying to limit the amount of stuff I put up that's like direct references, because we talk about like a lot of movies, a lot of places and stuff. So like I can't put up imagery of like everything.
No, that's true.
So I've been trying, when I'm doing like if something's a really interesting reference or a really funny one, I'll try to put it up. But like I've stopped like including a lot of movie posters and stuff because it just takes too long to collect all that stuff and put it together.
Yeah.
And since we're the only ones making this and I'm like the only one editing all of this, you know, I need to be able to manage my time effectively. Because I also do a lot of other stuff and like have a full-time job and I'm a comedian. I'm friggin' geez. I mean, don't get me wrong though, this podcast is important to me.
Yeah.
I just there's only so much I can put in.
Well, I just think that you're going to have to, use the camera and just pan it around the room for like 20 minutes.
I'm going to have to make love to the camera.
That's right.
The camera, she is a beautiful woman.
She's
And I will find her most sensitive areas.
a beautiful woman with one eye, one large lidless eye.
Well, don't cheapen it. But yeah, you know, I'll do what I can.
Yeah, of course.
What the hell were we talking about before I got thrown off by that curveball?
I was talking about the movie Miracle Mile.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Which is...
And you want me to go see that movie?
Because we were talking about the tar pits.
Well, guess what? I'm not going to watch it.
Well, see, that's good, because then I can just tell you all the spoilers.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Anyway, Anthony Edwards hears the payphone ring in the middle of the night outside this diner that he's eating at. And he, answers the phone, and it's somebody saying that in something like an hour, there's going to be a nuclear war, and Los Angeles is going to be destroyed, and that he needs to get out, And so he, it sounds very plausible. Mm-hmm. So he, goes and essentially tries to tell everybody in this diner that this is happening. And some of the people think he's crazy or drunk, and some of them kind of believe him, and that's where the movie goes from there. And it basically becomes this very, adventure thriller of this guy essentially trying to escape from Los Angeles, and
Escape from L.A., the movie.
Escape from L.A.
Don't ever watch that movie. That movie sucks.
I know, that's a
continue.
terrible
Sorry.
movie. No, and that's it. And the big climactic moment happens in the La Brea Tar Pits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about that? I think it's that Sin City has a part that's in the La Brea tar pits. Because I'm pretty sure one of the characters sinks into the tar and almost dies and gets pulled out.
Maybe.
So I think there's a part in Sin City that also takes place at La Brea.
I wouldn't be surprised.
It's not shock. I mean, a lot of movies obviously have been shot in California and LA.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot have probably used iconic California locations as a backdrop.
Absolutely. And as far as iconic locations go, the tar pits are amazing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like when you're in the middle of LA and you're surrounded by this urban infrastructure, the last thing you expect to find is something as weird as these big tar pits that are just in the middle of this place. And then,
Yeah.
you walk off of, I think, Sepulveda Boulevard and you like, you're surrounded by office buildings,
Yeah.
and you're suddenly on this lawn.
See, now this is a real podcast. We're making all these LA references because so many of those podcasters live in LA.
Oh, do
So
they?
they talk about LA all the time.
Oh, well, we probably shouldn't then.
No, it's we're part of it now.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're going to be invited on all the good podcasts. Our dreams will come true.
That's right. Yay.
I honestly have no idea what I would do if I was invited on Joe Rogan. I don't know what the hell I would say to Joe Rogan. I mean, I guess I would try to be cordial because I'm a comedian and I want people to like me.
Of course.
But it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a bit of a problematic fella.
Yeah, it's not our world, but I mean,
Now, if I was on the Super Mega podcast, or the the Meat Canyons podcast, or the Game Grumps podcast, I'd be hanging out with the bros. I'd be like, oh, this is awesome.
so you know all about the podcasts. I don't know about the podcast.
I know about that segment of podcasts.
Okay.
There's like so many goddamn podcasts, man.
Yeah.
There's huge sections, I'm sure, of the social media world that I'm not aware of at all. And I see that every day. I was just in a special ed classroom with like all these autistic kids.
Yeah.
And we were watching something like called Cody's World.
Huh.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But apparently it's a big thing. So there's a lot out there that I'm like not aware of.
Yeah.
Recently on the internet, people have been talking about the Minecraft movie because it just came out, which is a reference to the Minecraft game.
Yeah, sure.
And they were there was a tribute to some YouTuber who died of cancer, who was like a big Minecraft streamer.
Okay.
I forget what his name was. I feel so bad that I forgot what his name was. But they
I'm sure
did
he
a
doesn't
reference.
know your name.
It doesn't matter. I don't want to offend his fans. You know,
Yeah.
he died of cancer. It's terrible.
No, of course.
But like, Technoblade, I think was his name.
Okay.
But there was a reference to him in the movie because like his avatar was like one of the Minecraft pigs with a little crown on it.
Okay.
And they had one in the movie, and Jack Black says something like, "That's a legend" or something like that.
Huh.
I completely forgot where I was going with this.
We were talking about.
Okay, that's what it was. It's that there are worlds out there in social media and on the internet that like I'm not a part of, and just
Sure.
so I'm the references I make are to the particular corner of the internet that I have been welcomed into, which is a lot of the people that produce that content are in the same age range as me. They've grown up in the same era of social media as I did. It's part of the world that's my world.
Yeah.
It's like how in college I watched a lot of college humor. And college humor is like totally different now than what it was back then.
Right.
So like a lot of their content is like their dropout content now. It's not like the weird skits they used to do when I was in college. So it's like, that even the people I followed are like in a different world now. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
of course.
Like it's all totally different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's still the same people, but they're doing different things.
Right.
They're in different stages of their life. I was thinking about that with the South Park creators the other day. I was listening to them talk about like how as they've aged, the show has focused on different characters because it's been reflective of the ages they've been at in their lives. And the reason the show, a lot more of the episodes now have focused on Randy is because they're in the age group that Randy is in. They're like middle-aged guys almost now. So it's like that's more their experience now.
Well, but
and
that's
it's
the
like,
beauty of it.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're doing a thing that has a multi-age cast, you can grow up with the characters, and
I know,
vice
it's just
versa.
bizarre.
Yeah.
It aging and watching the world change around you is a jarring experience.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know more about that than I do. You've been alive twice as long.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my personal experience, what I seem to find is that, I outgrow things and they disappear.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like I continue with these things aging. You know what I mean? Usually what happens is things go away and you leave a phase of life and then you enter a new phase of life and you kind of find new things.
Yeah.
And then you age with those things and then they disappear. And this happens just again and again and again.
I know, but what's fascinating about it now is because of information technology and information being stored, you can now constantly revisit everything you remember all the time.
And that is one of the weird things is that I do that.
So like you can simultaneously live in the past and the present now.
Yeah. And I do. I think for my own sanity, you know, obviously your mother and I, we enjoy a lot of things from the past. I mean, like, let me give you an example. I mean, just last night, I started watching this old movie. Now, this was actually even before my time. This movie was made in 1950. It was more my mother's time, you know. But it was King Solomon's Mines with Stuart Granger, and like it's kind of a fun movie. And I was just watching that, feeling like I was kind of way more in my own comfort zone with that. You know, this old like movie about an African adventure. You know.
But I like movies like that too.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And that's not real. Like I'm not old world.
No,
I mean I'm millennial old world.
Yeah, but I mean, you are old enough so that I think you may have more of a. You experienced the tail end of that old world, that 20th century culture.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that.
Well, I think that a lot of millennials did, and that's why we've escaped a lot of the. I mean, don't get me wrong. Millennials' lives are just as torturous as everyone's, but I feel like we've escaped a lot of, like, what in modern parlance they call brain rot, which is to say, like, you know, we don't really see the internet or the digital world the way that I think new generations see it.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying new generations are stupid. I'm just saying, like, because they've grown up online, the way they perceive reality is completely different than the way that we do or older generations do. And we were kind of like the last hurrah before that happened.
Right. Yeah, before computers sort of and social media became kind of the media, became everything.
Yeah.
And I actually wonder what that means. You know, I can't really.
I'm hoping it's whatever it means is not terrible.
Right. Absolutely.
I just don't want it to, like, I mean, because there's bad things about it, but I don't think it's all bad. I mean, evolution or, you know, changing depending on how the world changes or how technology changes is inevitable. And I feel like there's going to be elements of that are good and bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because right now we have issues where, like, I think a lot more young people aren't able to detect, like, the insincerity online. You know, they kind of take everything as they see it.
Yeah.
And as a result, their perception of the world online and the world outside based on the world online is that, like, everything is as it seems. And I think that's dangerous. That scares me because that makes me think, like, they're more likely to fall into, like, traps.
Right.
They're more likely to be, like, taken advantage of. They're more likely to be judgmental based on nothing. You know, and I know a lot of people have talked about how they feel like Gen Z. I've heard, and I haven't heard millennials say this. I've heard other Gen Zers say this, that they feel like millennials are kind of just minding their own business, and Gen Z is a lot more like the boomers, which is to say they're a lot more likely to be, like, kind of, like, up their own butts and kind of, like, self-righteous and, like, judgmental. And, like, you know, they claim to be accepting. They claim to be, like, you know, like, oh, we're just not trying not to hurt anybody. But at the end of the day, they do it through the lens of their own, like, myopic self-actualization, to quote Bo Burnham. You know, it's like they see things and they see, like, oh, I've heard that was bad, so it must be bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not really based on their own opinions. It's based on the group opinion.
Right. It's more of a gossip thing.
But maybe that's, like, just a transition from one type of mind into another. You know what I mean? Maybe there's just some growth pains there. It's like I always talk about with AI. It's like I think initially AI might be childlike in that it might be problematic or hateful or deceitful. But that eventually, with enough information, it might grow to become something else. And I think maybe that's the same, generationally speaking, with people. Maybe this is how this starts, you know, with some downside.
Right.
But then eventually, this is just a way to transition into a more collective type of thinking.
Maybe. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that makes me have a little doubt is that, when I look at the culture at large, I feel like a lot of the negative things that are happening are coming from my generation. Like a lot of the, obviously, we were talking about Trump before, but a lot of the support that he's had has been, I mean, there have been some young people obviously involved with the whole, nationalism thing, but it's a lot of old guys, guys my age. And
no,
I
of
find
course,
that,
but that's what I'm saying is like all the information that's trickling down is trickling down from the wrong people.
yeah.
So like maybe once we do an overhaul on this, or like once enough people die, enough like old white men, eventually the information will purify and the stuff that will trickle through to people will become benevolent.
Yeah, well, I mean, one would hope so. And of course, when you look at the changes that happened that were good to the country back in the 30s, the whole workers' rights movement and the voting rights movements and all that, for women and minorities and so forth. I mean, those all came after, I think, a lot of, very destructive, it was like after the Gilded Age.
Yeah.
And I think that the whiplash, the backlash for that was all of these movements that made the country a better place for a good 50 years. But of course, now then we had to have a backlash against all these programs, and that's kind of what we're at the peak of now.
Yeah. You know what I'm just realizing with this podcast?
What?
Is at some point we got to have some guests on here.
Yeah.
We got to bring and I don't just mean like, obviously there's people I know who'd be interested in that. Like there's some like media people who I know who are into that sort of thing.
Okay.
But I would also love to have like, obviously who wouldn't love to have like some celebrity guests if we could get them.
Yeah.
But I would also just love some more diverse opinions.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like obviously we talk a lot about problematic information and political intrigue and the problems with our country and stuff. Right. But we're coming at it from our point of view, which is still kind of limited as, I mean, we're open-minded white guys, but we're still white guys.
Yeah, yeah.
So I feel like, I don't know. I want to get some weird, diverse guests on this podcast. I want to get I wish I could invite the high school students who I work with every day, but that would be creepy. I can't be a sub teacher and be like, hey kids, you want to be on me and my dad's podcast?
Right.
But I feel like they're such an interesting, diverse population because we're talking about inner city schools that are largely non-white.
Yeah.
And I would just love to hear what they think, about the country and about. But that's another thing. A lot of them are Gen Z, so a lot of them are very quiet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they have the capacity to hold a conversation that's like this aggressive. I don't know. I don't want to judge them because there's probably some in there that are very bombastic and we can pull out.
Well, I mean, obviously we'll keep our eyes open because I agree. It would be good to have some
just walk around the street and find people who aren't white and just ask them questions.
Yeah. Well, aren't there? I think there are probably podcasts that do that.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing would be I was watching...
when we do the minicast, we're going to be doing mini episodes of the minicast where we're out and about more. I'm going to try to incorporate that more. So maybe when we're out and about, if we run into anybody interesting or talkative, we could chat with them.
Yeah. Well, I've watched some episodes of that podcast by Kevin Nealon where he goes on these hikes through the...
Oh, yeah, with celebrities?
Yeah, and I always thought that was kind of a good idea. I mean, for one thing, I enjoy those just because I like the scenery.
Yeah. We'll get James Woods.
Yeah.
We'll get Conan or Taylor Swift. Yeah. I'm just naming the celebrities that have houses in this part of the country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could get a couple. There's definitely 4 or 5 of the Love on the Spectrum people live over here.
Oh, okay. Well,
get one of those autistic people to be on our podcast.
Yeah, I obviously we should get the governor or the senator from our state. We'll get White House.
Oh my God! That would be great.
Yeah.
But I just realized I missed an opportunity. I should have taken a video of me and that guy from Love on the Spectrum when I ran into him at Ren Fair and added that to the podcast.
Yeah.
But I feel guilty because I don't want to bother people.
I agree.
And every time I bother somebody who's has any kind of celebrity, I feel super guilty about it.
Yeah. No,
because it's these people are normal people. They have lives. They deserve to be left alone.
Right.
They don't want to be talking about their career every 10 minutes wherever they go.
Yeah, unless they're promoting something. I think that if I had this podcast when I ran into Pee Wee Herman, I think he was promoting something, so it would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Anyway, going forward, it's something to, keep our eyes open about.
Yeah, absolutely. We should do that.
When I go to Mexico and stay at a hotel there, I'll just find the staff working at the hotel and I'll just ask them questions.
Yeah.
In my terrible Spanish, I'd be like, soy podcast. Mi podcast es muy ha 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 podcast con tú yo y tú en la podcast con mi papá. Por favor.
I was thinking you say soy podcast, people are going to think
I
it's about tofu.
I am podcast. Oh, tofu. No, I don't know. That one might be a bit of a stretch, but I don't know. I'm curious about people. I just want more. I feel like right now, especially in our culture, there's like a glut of white men podcasts.
Yeah.
So I think it would be interesting, not from like a liberal perspective, not from like a, like, oh, I'm a socialist perspective. I just want other people's opinions.
Yeah.
I just want a lot of people's opinions.
Well, you're going to have to dig up all your old friends.
Yeah. Well, technically, Gwen is half Mexican.
Yeah. So
She's been on the podcast. Her mom is like almost fully Mexican. I could bring her on.
Yeah, you could.
Get the opinions of a middle-aged Mexican woman in the East Coast.
But again, it's this is family members. I'm thinking
yeah.
maybe try
Also,
to find
she hates to be on camera, so that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, and I don't blame her.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could dig up some people from my past. I don't know. Some people who went to school one might be interesting. TJ might be interesting.
Yeah, right.
He's super diversity because he's like half Southeast Asian and he's gay.
Yeah.
So I feel like he represents a
Some
significant
sort of
portion of the population.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get too much into detail, like trying to look for like diversity hires, because that sounds creepy too.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, I'd be like, oh well, I vaguely know a half Asian gay guy. He could help.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it looks a little weird.
Yeah, better just to look for different kinds of.
But also,
thinking.
he's just a goofy guy, so I feel like he might be fun to have on the podcast.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, just different kinds of people, different kinds of opinions.
Yeah.
It's like one of those the things like you said, how guys will do like on the street interviews,
right,
with like random people. I mean, that's how Hak Tua became famous.
Yeah.
The teacher who got fired because she made a blowjob joke on like a podcast or something.
I'm familiar with that name, but I never knew what that was about.
Yeah, she got for a brief time she got so famous she started her own podcast called the Hak Tua podcast.
Okay.
And there was something somebody said about her, like she had an opportunity that she kind of blew. I don't really know what happened. I just remember that there was a clip of her and she got fired because she was a teacher.
Okay.
But they'll fire teachers up for a lot because, like, I mean, I guarantee you, if if the school department that I work for got a hold of, I mean, there's probably things I've said on this podcast that might get me fired. Who knows?
Yeah.
I hope not. I try hard to be good at my job, so I would hate to think that there would be any reason to remove me. I mean, I'd say as far as substitute teachers go, considering how like desperate a lot of school departments are for subs and how like thin the requirements are, I would say that I'm a good get for that job.
Sure.
Because like I'm super safe. I'm a smart person. I can help kids to some extent.
Sure, absolutely. I don't think it's necessary to say these things. I think, of course.
No, I'm just saying, like, sometimes I feel like, there's so much focus on like organizations looking into people's social media presence now that it seems a shame that good people might be lost over like, something they said on a podcast or something.
It's absurd.
Unless it's something really inflammatory.
Yeah. I just think we just need to, the main thing is just to be fun and interesting.
And you feel like we're losing that thread here?
I worry that we're losing it a little bit.
Why? Because I'm talking about people being called out over podcasts and social media?
I just don't know that it...
We could talk more about the Minecraft movie.
let's
Jack Black is a tour de force.
There might be
a true delight.
Yeah. I have no doubt there's probably an audience for that. I think
people think it's fun and silly.
Yeah.
I think it went the way of a lot of populist movies where it had a lot of hate early on, but now that it's out, I think people think it's like kind of self-aware and dumb and fun.
Yeah. Did you see Jack Black on SNL the other night?
No,
He was the
I
host.
assume he. I mean, I think I saw a clip of him doing like something, but I haven't seen him.
No, I
in any of
didn't
his
really
sketches.
see it. Yeah.
I can't remember what I saw him doing a clip of. I don't want to think about it too long though, because I don't want this to get boring. But there was one thing we haven't brought up yet that I did want to talk about, which is Wes Anderson just released a movie trailer for a new movie he has coming out. What was it called? Do you remember?
God, I don't.
We're terrible.
But I did see the trailer. I don't remember what it was.
Hold on,
called.
I'll go to Google. Go to Google. Google is the place where you can find out what movies Wes Anderson is making.
Anyway, I'll tell you one thing that's interesting is that when you see a trailer for a Wes Anderson movie, you immediately know The Phoenician. Yeah.
Not a very memorable title either.
No. Is that the whole title, The Phoenician?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe. I'll check again.
I thought there was more to it.
Oh, The Phoenician Scheme.
The Phoenician Scheme.
My bad.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this already. Is that Asteroid City we didn't particularly love.
Yeah.
And
Although
it feels
I need to see it again. But
it does feel like his movies are becoming a little more style than substance.
Yeah.
Which is to say, like, it almost feels like he kind of just wants to, like, direct plays. Like, all of his movies now are just, like, these little perfect closed sets in every scene.
Yeah.
Where, like, there's not, like, the realism is kind of missing, which is what made his projects before really good.
Yeah.
Is being grounded in drama and reality.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's building his movies are just these collections of these kind of elaborate tableaux.
Yeah,
and
they're just like these pretty little doll houses.
Yeah, and they're neat. I mean, I really enjoy looking at those things. But I also, in a 2-hour movie, there's got to be a story that you care about.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that he's entirely committed to that anymore. I hope that I'm wrong. I'd like this Phoenician movie to be really great and emotionally, there. But from the trailer, it just looks a bit, I don't know.
A bit thin and a bit like overtread as far as the territory goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope, no, I want it to be good too. I love Wes Anderson
I'm a
and
fan.
I'm hungry for him to produce interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And no matter what he makes, there's always something interesting in it. But like, I've definitely felt like Asteroid City was thin. I felt like The French Dispatch was a little thin, although I know you said you enjoyed it the last time you watched it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it the second time. I didn't like it that much the first time, but I enjoyed it more the second time. But I
still felt it was a bit slow.
It is a bit, and even the second time, it's a little lacking in the story department.
Yeah, but there's been times he's produced like late career movies that I thought were great. Like I loved Island of Dogs, even though it was like totally different from a lot of the other stuff he made.
Yeah.
But like, it's hard to say. I worry. I just worry. I'm not that worried though. Also, to backtrack on that, because it's like Wes Anderson has made so many good movies at this point. Mm-hmm. It's almost like even if he doesn't make any more truly amazing movies, he's still entitled to keep making work, and I don't really care.
No, absolutely.
Because I can still just watch his old movies. I don't have to, like, you know what I mean? Who is he trying to impress? He's just doing stuff that he wants to do.
Right.
So at this point, if he makes movies that I don't love, it's not like he's trying to impress me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just doing... Actors want to work with him. He wants to keep working. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and if his movies are really just big art installations, and they're not really anything more than that, that's still an impressive thing for him to do.
Yeah. Also, Michael Cera's in his new movie, and Michael Cera and Wes Anderson are like, I don't think they've ever done anything before together,
right.
And that seems like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and Michael Cera looks really funny in the clip in the new movie. So
Michael Cera's fabulous.
Yeah, he's always good.
Every time I hear he's in something, I want to watch it. I still haven't seen. He was in a movie called like Magic, I think, which was like kind of like a thriller, slight kind of horror movie.
Okay.
Where he played kind of like a weird, creepy spaz. And I still kind of want to see that movie, even though it doesn't have the best ratings from what I saw, but it like he just appeals. His part in it appeals to me. Okay. Because I like the idea of him as like being part of like a horror story.
Yeah, I agree. I think the last thing I saw him in was this movie called Crystal Fairy.
Oh yeah, that's probably
was good.
The most recent movie I watched that he was in too.
Yeah.
But I've seen that a couple times. I loved it both times.
Yeah.
It's sort of just like I don't know. There's so many different elements of that movie that make it exciting because it's a travel movie, so it makes you kind of feel like you're traveling through like an exotic country.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's also kind of like, like an adventure friendship movie.
Yeah.
And it's also like a kind of like a dark drama because there's like moments in it that are genuinely like upsetting and frightening.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of like a goofy drug trip movie. Like it's got so many different things going for it that make it so fun.
It reminded me a lot of a Spanish language movie that I had liked. I think it was called Y Tu Mama Tambien.
Yeah.
And
that's a good comparison.
Yeah, and that movie seemed very similar to Crystal Fairy in a good way. They're both good movies.
Well, what I love about Crystal Fairy and also about Michael Cera in general is that Michael Cera is not obsessed with like I feel like he wants to play with his range. He's not obsessed with just being like this likable character. He plays really like jerks. Not all the time, but like I'm just thinking about like in the end, right? He plays like a really comically weird, upsetting version of himself. But he's not okay. He's fine with like being seen that way. Like he just he thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's fantastic.
I agree.
And in Crystal Fairy, he kind of plays like this asshole.
Yeah.
And over the course of the movie, he kind of like realizes that he's kind of an asshole and sort of like comes around. And it's like this beautiful growth of this character in this movie.
Absolutely.
And I love that Michael Cera is like okay with not just with like playing around and being in like small projects and not just having to be like one type of person in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Not just having to be like this like, hey, I'm Michael Cera. I'm this weird little nebbish, like I'm this. Aren't I a charming little cute guy? Isn't that nice? He's so much more than that.
Yeah.
He's so, and every time I hear somebody talk about him, they're always like, he's so talented. He's so interesting, and everything he tries, he picks up, and he's like, he seems like a cool guy. He seems like a guy I would like to hang out with.
Yeah, I agree.
And obviously, Scott Pilgrim versus the World is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's a great movie. Yeah, absolutely. I love that movie as well. And it's not the kind of movie I should like, because of the subject matter, but it proves that, and this is something I've said before, is I'm kind of proud of the fact that I'm not a person who's
stuck in one thing.
Yeah, I'm not predisposed to be hostile to categories of movies that go against my basic interests.
Yeah. Me neither. I'll try anything.
Yeah, as long as it's good. If I'm not into football, but if somebody made a really good football movie, I would probably love it.
But there are sports movies we love.
Sure, absolutely.
Like, I for some reason, every time I think of sports movies, the first one that pops into mind is Field of Dreams, and that's not even my favorite one.
Yeah, but that
one's not bad.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams, Moneyball's really good.
Yeah, Moneyball's great. Yeah.
What's the Fighter is really good.
The Fighter's really good. Yeah.
$1 Million Baby's pretty good.
Yeah. North Dallas 40.
Raging Bull.
Raging Bull is fantastic. Yeah.
I feel like we're naming a lot of fighting movies.
Well, North Dallas 40 is a football movie.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
The Wrestler.
Yeah.
That's kind of
a great
about.
Movie.
I've seen a few movies about wrestling that I thought were all right. Like The Wrestler's my favorite, but like I thought The Iron Claw wasn't bad. It was really tragic, but I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I thought there was that one about like the lady wrestler who like.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to say like the one about the lady wrestler. Like
the one that has The Rock in it.
Yeah, some iconic like woman who became a wrestler.
Yeah.
For like the WWE or something.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a cool movie too.
Yeah, but of course Rocky.
I think that had Nick Frost in it, like playing her dad.
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, Rocky's great.
Rocky's iconic.
Yeah.
It's weird. It seems like of all the sports movies, the most iconic ones are boxing movies.
Yeah.
Because you got like Rocky, Raging Bull, The Fighter. Like all of those movies are insanely classic.
Yeah, Cinderella Man's really
Cinderella
good.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
I guess people are just like really fascinated with, the sport that men choose to like punch each other in the face.
Yeah, it's inherently interesting because it's a gladiatorial sort of thing.
I'll also like, look at the career of Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
That guy was terrifying when he was young.
Yeah. It's funny.
And he's one of the most famous people like in the world.
Yeah. I was watching a cooking show the other day, and I remember there was somebody was comparing a matchup between two chefs as being Mike Tyson versus Holyfield.
Yeah.
And the one guy joked, as long as he doesn't bite my ear. And I was thinking, what's funny to me about that is that I was thinking that's a very related joke, because unless you're a certain age, I'm old enough to remember when Mike Tyson bit Holyfield's ear off.
Yeah.
I'm not sure a lot of people, I don't know how many people actually remember that.
I think it depends.
Yeah.
I know that Gen Z is very, in some ways, a very nostalgic generation because they have access to like information and media from all eras.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's some Gen Z that are aware of that.
Yeah.
But Mike Tyson has been so globally famous for so long. I do think there's still a lot of people that would know that reference.
Would know that. Yeah, well, obviously the chef on the show knows it.
Yeah.
But I was thinking he made that joke, and the host of the show didn't really seem to get it.
Yeah.
And I bet he didn't know about it, so...
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah.
What if Tyson fought Cassius Clay?
Yeah, that would have been an interesting bout.
I kind of feel like that's probably already been heavily discussed.
Yeah, probably.
That sounds like one of those things where people have probably been throwing it around for a long time.
Yeah, it's one of those like fantasy matchups,
Yeah. Okay. Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson
Yeah.
versus Yusuf Islam.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That'd be terrible.
That would be, yeah, poor
Cat Stevens would get ripped apart.
Yeah, he wouldn't last long in there, I don't think.
But yeah. Well, I know people historically have had a lot of respect for Cassius Clay as a boxer and for his career. I know that he carried the Olympic torch right before he became too sick to really like function.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's weird because if you think about it, like as much as we don't follow sports or really like love it deeply, I kind of feel like in a lot of ways because of how America is, the history of sports, maybe globally, but definitely in America, you can follow the history of sports with just general history pretty far back.
Sure.
And it kind of mirrors American history.
Yeah. And it even gets into your DNA if you're not a person who's into sports, which I've never been.
Yeah.
And yet, if I think back about...
It's still cultural references,
yeah. I mean, I always remember when I was a kid, the big boxing match between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
George Foreman? Oh, Joe Frazier.
Yeah. I mean, that was always, it was in my awareness. You know?
It's just interesting. Back to when we were playing baseball with sticks and rocks.
Yeah.
But I also think it's interesting how that carries over to different parts of the world, because obviously, like in India, cricket is incredibly popular.
Yeah.
And like, who in America ever thinks about or knows anything about cricket?
No, it's true.
Meanwhile, it's like a big part of the rest of the world. And that's always fascinating to me. I feel like we're living not millions, but like at the very least a few very different lives depending on what section of the globe you're in.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're people in America are living different lives than like people in Canada or like even our closest neighbors. But like I'm just thinking like, okay, for example, there's this famous Russian singer named Vitus or Vitus, and he became popular online because he had that meme of his clip from his music video, the Seventh Element, one of his songs, where he was like going like
Okay.
I'm and this is a guy
unfamiliar with this.
But that's what I'm saying. This is a guy who's almost nobody knows about in the Western world, but he is gigantic in Russia and Asia.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Like to the level of like Beyonce big.
Like
so
Michael
like
Jackson.
there's like half of the world that knows who this guy is, and he's like an everyday name brought up in conversation. And now the Western world knows about him too because of the meme culture.
Okay.
But isn't that weird to you?
Yeah.
That like, you go to the other side of the globe and they might not recognize anybody who you would consider should be like a global icon.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, going back to Mike Tyson, that's kind of what makes Mike Tyson so famous, is that he's recognizable in so many parts of the world.
Yeah.
And whereas like if you're only recognized in one hemisphere, you're not global famous.
Right.
And there's a difference between globally famous and like famous in whatever part of the world you come from.
Yeah. Well, that's, because we were talking a lot about Severance in one of the previous podcasts, and I've become aware since we discussed it that Severance must be being shown in other countries. Because it's become like very, like there's a lot of, commentary on it in places like England and even like Europe,
Well, there's also an attempt, I think, to make like Western culture homogenous to the world.
Well, of course, yeah.
But I do think there are still things that are only familiar in certain parts of the world.
Yeah.
And like, I just think that's really interesting.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, that's what always gets me to want to like reach out and find more like obscure stuff from different parts of the world that I can get into, because it's cool to feel like you recognize something that like nobody else in your part of the world recognizes, and to like enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I always remember when I was living in Madrid, you know, I the first place we saw the movie Metropolitan, you know, Whit Stillman's Metropolitan. It's a really nice little movie.
Yeah.
Now, that movie takes place in New York City. But what's interesting is that Whit Stillman lived in Spain. And so he had a certain amount of notoriety and fame in Madrid. You know, and in fact, there was a lot of Spanish people who were fans of Whit Stillman's work because they knew of him because he lived there. And now I got to see his movie there because of that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the movie has nothing to do with Spain. His second movie was called Barcelona and did take place in Spain.
Barcelona.
Yeah, but...
she moved the camera.
She moved the camera, yep.
We're probably still in frame, but I'm just going to go check it.
All right, well, I think we're just about done here. Should we just call it quits?
Oh, yeah, you're right. We should probably stop.
Yeah.
But before we do, I do want to mention one piece of media that I do think, if it's not global, should be. And this may be a quite a callback for some people because it's from a while ago. But I was thinking about the Shakira Waka Waka song from the World Cup when it was in Africa.
Okay.
And I was thinking, like, everybody needs to know about that and see that video.
I haven't seen it myself, so I guess I have to seek it out.
Samina mina sam kalewa, this time for Africa. Samina mina, waka waka, samina mina sam kalewa. Anawa Yeah, Shakira is probably globally recognizable.
I know Shakira. I mean, I know her from before this, but I also know her from the
Zootopia?
Yeah, Zootopia.
That's Shakira, right?
I don't know.
I think so.
All right.
Well, we're two old white men.
Yay.
You're older than me, though, so.
I'm always going to be older than
I
you.
will always be beautiful.
That's right.
I mean, because I have a Scandinavian descent.
That's right.
I was born 45, and now I'm finally filling into my age beautifully.
Yes, it's working out for you.
And luckily, I've kept all my hair, which is nice.
I know, it's amazing. Yes, yeah, I have, however, not.
You're still beautiful, Dad.
I'm old. Yeah.
We still love you.
Thank you. That's good to know.
All right. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys and gals. Bye.
Okay, now we're going to go back to our regular ASMR programming. I brought some makeup brushes